People who live in communities where corona isn't taken seriously, what has it been like? Pretty normal. Except with like obstacles added in. For example, stores have implemented all sorts of things. Like one-way aisles. However, since like 2% of people care, nobody pays attention and somehow everyone ends up closer than they would have if the aisles would have just been normal. A lot of people don't wear masks. But on occasion you'll see someone in a mask, gloves, with their phone and other belongings in a Ziploc bag to keep them from being contaminated. Oddly enough, those are typically the people that get avoided like the plague. People in my town don't care that much. But ever since one kid got it, they've been taking it more seriously. But then the bomb threat made people go to the park more. On the basis that they couldn't go yesterday, so I'm going to go today when they never had plans to go anyway. Well, a younger guy at work said he was at a packed bar over the weekend and we're ending our alternating schedule on Monday. My husband's work ended their alternating schedule 3 weeks ago. Last week 3 people tested positive for it. Now they are going to full WFH. Husband just got tested today. Fingers crossed he's okay. A lot of people in my circle seem to think wearing a mask is complete and utter submission to the government. Trying to explain the difference between the willing adoption of rules versus government control can be a bit of a chore. They typically respect my view though. I don't even engage anymore. I can't have a normal conversation with them and refuse to argue. Facts don't matter. Common sense doesn't break the seal. And just common courtesy is a negative. I just can't anymore. Incredibly lonesome. Incredibly lonesome. I'm right there with you. In spirit. Of course. Or we wouldn't be incredibly lonesome. Where I am in the south, it's just like it was before the outbreak. If you don't watch the news, there's no reason to think the world is any different. Ignorance is bliss, baby. Work at a restaurant where cases are spiking in town. Like 4 people have worn a mask. Well, I live in Brazil. I look at the statistics and tell myself a little story. Oh look. Brazil saw that lots of people in the US had COVID and wanted to get some of that too. Double quote. I live pretty close to a grocery store in a neighborhood where about 1/3 of the people shopping or working wear a mask. I'll see families with multiple adults and kids shopping maskless. As if nothing has changed. I now drive to a different store 15 minutes away. Because it's in an area where people are taking mask wearing more seriously. Interesting that there can be that much difference in mindset only 15 minutes away. I'm curious if there's any big difference in the grocery stores. It's been like watching one of those movies where you go, all of these people can't be that stupid. Why would they do X? That's crazy and unrealistic. And then remembering I live in South Carolina and all of these people are in fact that stupid. I live in the UK and despite being in lockdown for 3 months, people are just abandoning the rules lately, with shops reopening and pubs opening soon as well. Life has gone on like normal. People crowding into bars. Partying like they just don't care. I know people busy singing in their church choirs without a care in the world. I grocery shop during church time. The grocery store is full of people in PPE then and it seems much safer. How a super spreader at choir rehearsal infected 54 people in 2 hours. It's mostly the same as it was pre-pandemic. However, I've observed an interesting new dichotomy. It seems that some of those who refuse to buy into the pandemic also make it a point to avoid me, an Asian American. It makes me think that they secretly do believe. It's kinda like those scenarios where someone watches a horror movie and at the end acts like it wasn't scary but ends up sleeping with the lights on. But like on a national scale. My husband and I recently went to the south to pick up some items from storage. We were in Alabama and Georgia. We live in Chicago where they're very strict most places and have a person at the door making sure you wear a mask. I'll be the one to say it. Other than store employees, who mostly had them pulled down on their chin anyways. We were the only white people with masks on. This happened in 3 different Publix, a Kroger, and like 4 gas stations. Everyone's using the time off work to party, have barbecues, visit family, etc. My family has made the trip to visit every single one of our relatives at least once this year since they have so much time off. And they're out every other evening to go to a barbecue with or a potluck or a dinner with their friends. Had a co-worker at the hospital like that. Just came back from another barbecue camping trip with her whole family and now one of their cousins is a confirmed case. It's all fun and games until you have corona. My hubby's co-worker got it. Did not change a thing. It wasn't super severe so now he's even more unbearable. I tried to explain that it affects people differently but now he truly thinks it's all fake since he didn't have to stay in the hospital or die. Still won't wear a mask and still won't try to even take steps to care about the health of others. I've learned people in my state are illiterate. Signs do not work but mean mugging someone standing too close to you does. Also just got finished eating with my mother who said she refuses to get vaccinated for corona because Bill Gates is evil. The power of the news media is astonishing to me. For the people who refuse to get the corona vaccination, it's just natural selection at this point. It's like watching people put A1, ranch, and ketchup on a well done steak. In all fairness, if it's a well done steak it probably needs all 3 to attempt to make it palatable. But I get your point. Maybe A1, ranch, and ketchup on filet mignon? Although I'm not sure the analogy is correct. I am honestly surprised on how many people wear a mask here. I did not expect it to be taken this seriously in NC. But all of the stores I go to enforce masks /6ft apart. However, when the Speedway the next town over had 5,000 guests one night. I worry about our country. Lol. We're from around the same area. But I live in a city. Ironically that same Speedway lost a bunch of sponsors for a racist Facebook post. I'm in a relatively safe part of Canada. Nothing has changed in people's behavior. No one wears a mask or gloves. Stores have a hand washing station and plexiglass protection. Life goes on. I mean, in the end life will go on. At some point we're going to have to learn to live with COVID. It's not like the pandemic will be over anytime soon. As here. Got fired from a mom and pop after the owner said COVID was fake and I told him that I've had 3 PPL die from it. Didn't like the talking back at will states suck. Time to rake in that sweet unemployment money. I get strange looks from everyone. Who are always 40+ white people. Who must think I'm the weirdo for wearing a mask. If it makes you feel any better. I shame stared a lady in the grocery store today who had her mask around her neck. I literally stared her right in the eyes as she walked up and passed. The next time I saw her, her mask was where it was supposed to be. My county just instituted a mandatory mask order. People like her are in the minority now. It is really annoying. Trying to convince others that this is dangerous and is real is like trying to convince someone that is on fire that they need to be put out. Everything is still open to help stimulate the economy. My friends were going to the bars. And most of them got corona. My boyfriend's co-worker got corona. So now my boyfriend is in quarantine, for the second time at fault of a co-worker of his, until his test results come back. For anyone wondering, he's not allowed to work remotely even though his job can be done entirely from home. I get avoided at the grocery store when I wear a face mask. And I'm constantly patronized by friends when I refuse to attend social events. It's just crazy that, through all of the precautions I've been taken, my family and I are at risk through the decisions of other people that we have no power over. Imagine if you were standing on a crowded beach. Groups of men, women, and children building sand castles, frolicking in the sand, and blissfully sunbathing. Except there's a tsunami on the horizon and you're the only one that notices. That's about how it feels for me. There's as many complaints and excuses in the air as coronavirus. Not super relevant, but the second turkey goes out of the corona alert, every habit they made during the past 3 months will be tossed straight out the drain and we'll continue just the way we did before. Hell on earth. These idiots are acting like nothing is happening. No one wears masks. Many stores, restaurants and bars are open and full of people. I've been repeatedly laughed at for wearing a mask and called a snowflake. Last week there was a parade for Trump. Our county sheriff refuses to wear a mask or social distance and has said that no pandemic is going to keep the good Americans of our community from celebrating the 4th. Hell on earth. This will now come as no shock. I live in Florida. Not bad really. Rural county with a few dozen cases. People that want to wear masks do and those that don't. Those at risk quarantine themselves and the rest go about our business. Florida is a shitty show and I still get crazy looks for wearing a mask. No real implementation of social distancing or masks either. The company I work for has had people in store test positive and not sanitize the store or inform people that someone had tested positive in the building. I'm on furlough and scared to go back. Edit. Spelling. Hasn't been bad. People are in comparatively a better mood. I live in a state the mask is required in places of business. But privately neighbors are hanging out again and people are having birthday parties and BBQs again. And just happy to get on with their lives. I compare that to the people who are taking it more seriously and they are just so stressed out about every little thing they do. Mostly boring. My apartment is on the school's campus. The security guards take everyone's temperature at the gate. I've been asked to notify the school about guests or travel plans. Mildly annoying. But other than that it's okay. Mask wearing is considered a political statement. People are hostile to those who do wear them. A local restaurant shut down the dine-in option and said they would only do takeout and delivery, so the locals started to send him death threats. It's a f***ing disaster. In some parts of America, like West Virginia, if you wear a mask, people look at you like you're an alien. But hey, better safe than 6 feet under. Better 6 feet apart than 6 feet under, I say. NC, the hardest part is not random people. It is your neighbors, co-workers and bosses mocking you for living in fear by wearing a mask. They think we should all just catch it and be done with it without really understanding what that means. I've actually seen someone take off their mask to sneeze in a public place. Thankfully, their mask didn't get dirty. I've tried to educate people but they don't listen. They don't want to. They talk a lot about rights but not a lot about responsibilities. A lot of people in my area don't wear masks because God will protect me. That group of people overlaps significantly with the group that's pro-gun. You see a lot of people open carrying. Because apparently God doesn't protect them that much. I live in an entire state where it isn't taken seriously. Arizona. No one wears a mask and people give you stares if you do. As someone at high risk for the virus, it's terrifying how people think that the concept of believing in science is delusional. People I know say that they understand why I wear a mask because of my illness. But yet they refuse to wear one around strangers who may also have underlying conditions. The bottom line is, people genuinely do not care about the well-being of others. I feel like I'm surrounded by Republicans. It's Arizona, so I am. Exhausting. I'm a surgeon, so I feel a bit of responsibility for taking the time to educate people and reinforce the things that are important for public health. I try to appeal to the notion of putting community ahead of self and thinking about loved ones who are in risk groups. Also, sometimes point out that a $6.5b organization with hundreds of scientists and doctors that spend their careers understanding and treating human pathogens probably have a more intelligent and reasoned recommendation than your college buddy on FB. Or what you saw on a YouTube video. Your Google search doesn't compete with what they know. It's business as usual here in Alabama. Stupid redneck fucks can't be bothered to wear a f***ing mask. Our county had very few cases at first, but the second round it are growing rapidly. My county just got tired of COVID and decided it was over. And now people are getting sick. British Columbian here. Our federal and provincial governments have done an excellent job of limiting the spread of COVID-19. Sad to see a developed country like the USA going through the pathetic shit that their elected leaders have subjected them to. Americans, stay home. I don't normally live here, but I've been staying in Sweden for the last few months. No one wears masks or practices social distancing. In my circle, the ones who expressed concern about the situation were constantly being mocked. I was met with an ignorant mentality and the herd immunity what's the point? We're all gonna catch it anyway arguments. For real. What is amazing to me is that people don't understand that the virus isn't like a normal virus. This virus can literally just take a break for a few weeks while we riot and loot. And then come back full force when that's all over. Super chill virus. I love that we aren't being manipulated at all by the media on this. And I really appreciate the ability to go rob a bunch of stores with my friends and not be infected. I love that this virus is so woke on social issues. Yeah, no? I live in a rural area and had a dude actually try to tell me my mask didn't do anything. Of course, being a learned person, I completely froze and just said something like it keeps in my moisture. So that was fun. Governments made up of old people in cities make silly rules for young people in the country to follow. Yeah, the mayor of where I live put in the rule and then was caught on the beach with a group of like 10 friends, none of which were wearing face masks. I've been heavily self-quarantined and paranoid. Only leaving the house for groceries. I got invited to a family barbecue. Sounded like it'd be outside. It was inside the damn house. No one had masks on. The host works at Walgreens. I knew they'd get offended if I wore a mask, so I kept mine off despite misgivings. 5 family members caught the virus that day, including me. I'm still recovering. I feel so dumb for not trusting my gut. Really, nothing has happened. Everyone walks around with no masks on and no one has gotten sick. People do it when stores ask them to and take them off when they're out of the store. Why not wear the mask? Even if it doesn't help at all. Which I think it does. It makes people happy and lowers anxiety levels. Which is something positive. And doesn't cost you anything. You know when you were a kid and your parents put you in timeout? But instead of taking your punishment with grace you scream and wail, so your parents turn what was supposed to be a 2-minute punishment into a 30-minute punishment? It's a lot like that, instead with grown-ass adults who should know better. Live in Texas just outside Houston. I work in a plumbing supply store and the amount of people who come in and believe this is either a way for the government to control us or a ploy by the Democrats to get Trump out the White House is unreal. I'm not from America. What I have noticed is, Americans are really fond of and against my constitutional rights statement. Like, mate, just wear your mask and give me peace. People have been absolute idiots. It's been the weirdest combination of beyond paranoid and being 100% positive everyone you know and love is gonna die. But still braving Walmart every day without a mask and getting together with entire families for minor holidays because, well, we can just not celebrate Mother's Day, Father's Day, Memorial Day, 4th of July, Easter. Everyone's scared shitless with zero consistency and it's frustrating as hell. 50 people in my town held a prom in someone's basement and now 17 plus of them have been diagnosed with COVID. I'm sure it's more like 30 or 40, but those are the only cases that have been put in the press. I don't think they've gotten punished yet. Which pisses me off considering most of them worked at restaurants in the grocery store here. The brand new Jimmy John's is considering shutting down until the quarantine is over because a couple of the attendees work there. I mean, it's pretty much survival of the fittest now. Those who stay safe and follow hygiene will prevail. Others won't. I do also get not everybody has the luxury of staying home and getting things delivered to their doorstep. It's a harsh world and this pandemic just showcased how we should not take things for granted.